Everybody talks about AI. There's a lot of buzz around ChatGPT and other things, but we wanted to say, okay, what could we bring to the table to sort of break the ice with regard to that, open the conversation. We've got a couple different ways that AI can be used for your business that I think you're going to be really excited about, as well as something that's a very practical tip that we could share with you with regard to improving the results on your Google business page. So with that, I want to go ahead and dive in. I want to, give me 1 second though. I want to do one more thing here. I apologize to everybody. I hate to look down at my screen, but give me 1 second and I will be ready to go because this is something that came up just since we've been talking. But anyway, with that, we're going to talk first. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about AI and some of the different things how different ways you could use it, and then we'll follow up with the last part of it will be the Google business. So with that, I'm going to share a screen of something that I think you guys are all going to be aware of. Let me go ahead and do that now. Hold on. Oh, no, we're back to the video. Wrong thing. Okay, there it is. Present, or there it is. Sorry, we're still learning some of this stuff. So I got to share screen. There we go. Okay, so can you guys can everybody see that?
I see it.
Okay, I'm going to take it to full screen so that you guys can watch that. You don't need to see Ronnie and I, but this is artificial intelligence called Bard. And Bard is actually Google's version of like a ChatGPT or something of that nature. So there's two different ways you could use it. Bard is one of them. You just basically go ahead and Google Bard, B-A-R-D, and it's very similar to ChatGPT. I happen to like Bard primarily from a standpoint that it is, it's going to be primarily Google's version of it. And when we were trying to do things for SEO and things like that, I tend to think that Google's always going to give you the benefit of when you're using their platform, there might be a little bit of extra benefit. So I happen to utilize Bard more than I do ChatGPT, but they're very similar platforms. If you haven't used one of these, I think you might find that it's, both very interesting and maybe a little bit scary. And I always love to just pull this up and type things in because people are like, how does it even know that? Or how does it answer that? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to type in here, something like, why should I tune in into Marketing Mondays with Patric Frankso and Ronnie West? Oh, if I can get the typing right, and just see what it says. I mean, because this is kind of the interesting thing about Bard, and you just let it work, and it's going to bring up an answer to what you just typed in, and it's often all pretty interesting. So this says Marketing Mondays with Patric Frankso and Ronnie West, a weekly podcast that covers all things marketing. The hosts, Patric Frankso and Ronnie West, are both experienced marketers with a wealth of knowledge to share. Here are some reasons. You'll learn from two experienced marketers. You get the idea. This wasn't anything I loaded into the system. This isn't anything that we planned ahead of time. This is just literally what artificial intelligence can do on the fly when you have something like this. It's very interesting. People can utilize it for a lot of different things. Ronnie, what's your take on this?
For me, yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's kind of changing how everybody's doing, especially with social media. For me, I use ChatGPT. I have like the Genie app, and I just sit there on my phone and I'll play with it. There's all kinds of things that you can do with it. I had a buddy ask me like, what kind of wine do I pair with a particular meal? And so it was like, okay, and it spit this out. but there's more practical business uses for it. One of the things I've been creating blogs, and obviously we've discussed it, or will discuss, like, don't just copy and paste it, because you can ask it to write you like a 1,700 word blog article, and it's good, and you can do it in particular fashion of how on a certain topic, and in a certain tone, or who you're directing it to, whether it's you're writing it to the content creators or the small business owners, and it will kind of change the wording as far as how it does that. And one of the things too with it, you can ask it to create social media posts and say, hey, can you do a short one? Can you do a headline for this picture that I'm looking for? So to me, there's been so many practical uses, especially for just in the marketing aspect of trying to figure out exactly how can I use it. It is the tricky thing. It's understanding how the prompts, and obviously, like, where he wrote up there, why should I tune into? You can change how you're asking the question, and that will determine like what it spits out. And so it's one of those things of trying to understand and play with is definitely something I recommend.
Well, I think you hit on one point I really want to talk to a lot of people about, because I've heard a lot of people say they're utilizing it to write blog posts, things like that. And I think if you're utilizing it to give you inspiration about how to write a blog post or a topic or things like that, I think it's a great tool. I don't advise to take, as Ronnie was saying, copy and paste the entire article, drop it right into your website. I think you want to utilize it as a way to give you a framework or an inspiration, and then add more to it, take some away. You always want to read it to make sure that it's all accurate. You can't just trust this stuff 100%. Sometimes it'll spit out something that's a little bit weird, but I do think you want to, it's a great tool that you could utilize for a lot of things. I think, when you talk about asking it specific questions from a marketing standpoint, if you get if Matthew on our team got stuck on how to write a particular piece of code or forgot something and things like that, you could literally ask it like, hey, what's the code to make a website, or, the piece of code to make a website do a particular thing, and it will literally spit the code out. So I think that it's one of those things right now that it's a tool that I think people need to start playing around with, understanding what it does, understanding how they could potentially use it for their business. I think it's going to evolve like many things do over time. But right now is the time to begin getting involved, so that by the time it's evolving, you're already on board. You already understand the platform. You're already moving forward. If you wait until, 2-3 years from now, you may miss a big opportunity on what you could have been doing. It was like when Facebook came out, and a lot of people sat on the sidelines and said, I don't need to be part of that, whatever. Well, the people that were early adopters typically benefited the most from some of these platforms, whether it was YouTube, whatever it was. A lot of the people that benefited the most were people that understood the platform early and figured out how they could utilize it, for their business or for their personal brand or whatever. So
absolutely. I think especially too of understanding it and playing around and making the mistakes now when it's early on. Versus, like you said, if you come on in 2-3 years, and it's going to take you a few months maybe to kind of understand just how does this work, and then that's going to set you back even more. So just getting on and trying it. I know you like Bard is one of those things. It was a free service. I think you just kind of send in the email to request access, and I think both of us got it within like a day. I know for the ChatGPT, the app that I have, like I originally paid more money than I think I had my dad do it, and he spent $20 on it. So, and it's just an app on my iPhone. So there's definitely getting in early, more or less, and understanding it and kind of working your way through it and understanding it it's definitely start now. Obviously, it's not going away. It's going to kind of change how everything is going. And I think it's just get ahead on it now. Otherwise, like you're going to be working for somebody who's using it. I think that's just one of those things or take advantage of how to figure out how to do a call to action. Because that's one of the things too. You can ask it to do different things and then say, hey, reference.
Yeah, you could even, if you have a post you want to post on social media and you want to have an eye-catching first sentence or whatever about the topic you're writing about, you can ask it to give you suggestions for, attention-grabbing headlines or things like that. And you may not use it exactly, but it may give you a little bit of, like I said a minute ago, some inspiration on how you might use it. So I think it's a tool that is super powerful. I think to ignore it and act like and not use it, I think is to make a mistake. to use it incorrectly by just copying and pasting things and relying on it too much, I likewise think is a mistake. But there's a great middle ground there to figure out that, how to utilize this tool to save you time, to, help you be more productive, and potentially even, like I said, give you some really good inspiration, like asking it like for, how to write a catchy headline for a sale or things like that. You may end up getting stuff that is better than what you could have come up with yourself by just allowing this tool to give you some inspiration. So
absolutely. I sit here and laugh almost every day at the different things I can come up with. Yesterday, I was writing a story about, or had a blog article about storytelling, but I said, put it in a story fashion. And so it looped this informative story about storytelling. So there's lots of different ways that you can use this. It's endless. It's fun. And so I definitely would say, get out there and try it.
Yeah, just be careful. As I mentioned, my one caveat is don't be lazy with this platform. Don't just utilize it, copy and paste things, throw it together. I don't think it's going to be a great tool, or I don't think it's a great idea to just lean so much into this that you're expecting it to do everything for you. Think about it as a coworker or somebody that's an advisor that you can lean on for information, lean on for advice, lean on for a lot of different things, but it doesn't mean that you could just check out mentally on doing your job. I think you still need to it's a tool to use. It's not replacing you spending the time to learn things and learn how to use it. I would say right now, we're just scratching the surface of what AI could do. And I would advise anybody I know to begin using these platforms just so that you understand it, because as you mentioned, Ronnie, it's not going anywhere. Right now, we're going to jump into a practical thing that Ronnie actually utilizes for our company to show you the power of what this could do in a practical way. It's not just like a cocktail party trick to where you could ask it to answer questions and things like that. There's really practical ways this technology can be used. So